What is up, people? Welcome back to another episode of Campus Fridge. Now today's episode's gonna be a little different as compared to what at the moment the first three episodes are, in the sense that it's not just me talking about random stuff. There's kind of like a not a structure, but like a main general topic at hand with this episode. Essentially, I'm just gonna be going over, in my personal opinion, like some 2020 great music that's come out this year. And I know this year's been weird, and especially going considering how much better it would be if this music was able for everyone to like listen to it in groups. Like think of like concerts and stuff. It would be good for people to, or it'd be better if people could hang out and listen to the music and really be more hands on. And I guess as the experience, and instead of like being in a big group of people, now we're kind of being like the show atypical, where we're in our own spaces with headphones on, listening to it in our own areas, essentially like our bubbles. But regardless, that hasn't stopped so many musicians this year from dropping amazing projects and songs, and I still wanted to go over how far, even though we're only halfway through the year, there's still been so much stuff from the last 6 months, 6.5 now at this point, that I just wanted to go over a lot of it, how I felt about it. So, granted, starting off the episode, this might be I can't guarantee this, but it might be a little longer than a normal one, which is usually like an hour or less, usually like 55 minutes around that. I do have a lot of stuff written down here talking about these projects and stuff, so if it does come to a point where it's longer, just be aware that I'm telling you in advance if you have the time. You'll obviously see the timestamp when you're looking at it, and you don't have to listen to this in full. It's obviously a kind of thing where you can come back to it after each talk about a project or whenever you have the time for it. So it's your call. I'm just telling you in advance. I have a lot of stuff written down here, and it's kind of me going into this stuff. So let's get into it. Yeah, so the first thing I have right here is an album that came out right around like the first halfway through January of the year. They announced it. I remember, funny enough, I was at a college tour thing for our thing in a class for a day where our school let you like pick a thing to do for the day instead of like normal assignments, and one of them was a college tour. I mainly went for the free pizza, but regardless, I remember seeing on the bus back from there on my phone a Mac Miller post, and it was talking about the posthumous album that they had spent the last like year and a half making. Circles. John Bryan finished the music, and he's a great musician and composer. And it just as I'm talking about the album, Circles is amazing. It feels like it touches more like hearing the music from him since his passing, especially with the topics or the subject matter he's talking about. It almost seems like he knew it sounds crazy to say this, especially considering this was like he started working this like right around swimming, which is like 2018. But he almost like sounds like he knew that his time was coming essentially for his passing, which was unfortunate, especially in 2018 when he had that great album come out like a month or two beforehand. Um, and those albums do go hand in hand. Circles and swimming. The whole concept was supposed to be swimming in circles kind of thing, but they're their own thing. This one is more like not mellow music, but way less rapping in my opinion, and more just feel good music, if that makes sense. And very nothing like crazy in your face. In my opinion, it's very, you can just lay down on a couch or a bed and just listen to it, and it's very soothing to hear his voice, especially a year and a half later after his passing, because he just has, I don't know, just something about his sound is really good in my opinion. This really feel good album expresses how fine Malcolm was with dying, like accepting the fact that everyone dies and like leaves this world at a certain point, but he was always so aware of it, and like really made that apparent in his songs, especially this album. Right off the bat, it was talking about swimming circles, and he says this is what it feels like right when you fall, I think. But yeah, so in my opinion, this was a great start for the year for the albums, and I already knew other things were coming in the future, but I was like, if we got Mac Miller right off the bat, this is a good sign, and it's a great album. Some standout songs include "Good News." I love that song. I think it's my favorite from the entire album. I'm glad they made that the single that came out a week in advance. Everybody, it's a cover song by this guy. I forget the name. I could probably link it in the description. I know the song itself, that song that he covers. I think it's called "Everybody Dies," or "Everybody Wants to Live and Everybody's Gonna Die." It was used in Jojo Rabbit. I didn't see the movie, but I know a clip from that online I saw. Woods is a good song. Hand Me Downs isn't bad. Surf is a really good one too. And then, real quick, I'll just talk about them, even though they came out 2 months later. The bonus little thing is both had the deluxe songs, both of them. Right is really good, and Right and the other one is not bad at all. I think Right sounds like an ending episode to a show. but they were both good. I'm glad they came out eventually in the future. The other one right here isn't bad. It wasn't bad. I'm trying to pull it up. But I know overall the album was really like just mellow in my opinion. That sounds like maybe like too much, but I like it a lot. It's not working, but yeah. So that was a good start to the year, especially in January. Like 17 days in the year, we got a great album. A couple other things came out, but these are, in my opinion, I'm talking about the standout things that came out in the last 6 months and stuff that really, I was like, are good, solid projects that define this year in my musical taste or whatever. So next up came out at the last day of the month, "Dreaming of David" by Ryan Beatty. Pretty good. There's some strong singles. I remember the last like 6 months before this, there was not Hawkshot. I'm forgetting what is it called. What was the first one? Dark Circles, I think it's called. There was a couple other ones. Oh, Casino. Casino is probably the standout song for me, in my opinion, from that the singles that released. He in this album, it somewhat has this God and Jeans Part 2 feel. If you've ever listened to God and Jeans' first album, it's really good. I would suggest listening to that definitely before this one, if that makes sense. But not from the sound of the music, but the lyrical content is what really stands out to me for what the similarities are. Overall, it's pretty decent. Ryan Beatty has a great singing voice. He's worked with people like Brockhampton, like a main, like not secondary, but like a main like partner with them from our songs often, like Sugar and a couple others from like Iridescence. He's on Tanya as for the vocals, and he's also worked with Tyler the Creator for the. He was on the music inspired by the Grinch movie, and a couple other people. He's been here and there pretty much in the music stuff, but because he's really powerful voice and talented overall. If you haven't listened to some of his work, he works with Brockhampton, like I said. I would totally recommend listening to him. If you haven't, yeah, I mean, listen to his stuff. Yeah, standout songs: Hawkshot, Evergreen, Flowers at the Door, and Casino. Casino is really good. All right, so we're now into February. The first single that really stuck out. This is the first one, I guess, of the year. Even though Good News and Casino were really good, but like the first single, as in like not related to the album yet because the album's not out, is Joji's Run. This song is a really amazing song, and not only does it really use his vocals so strong that mesh really well with the guitar in the background, I think it's one of Joji's best songs he's put out there. It's a shame they pushed back the album in September, as we were less than a month away at the time. Now we're like past when it was supposed to come out, like yesterday or a few days ago. But I digress. He talked about it on Twitter how it's the pandemic really affecting the process of it, and he wants to perfect this album and put out a great piece of work, body of work. And I have hope for it, especially considering it's 18 tracks and that's 15 new songs going off of the 3 singles we have. I'm not really complaining because there's a lot more music in the future coming up, but I digress. Really good single, and I was like, Joji, you nailed it with this one. Next was Valentine's Day. Tame Impala dropped The Slow Rush. He announced this like 6 months in advance, literally. I think it was November or October. I think end of October, like the 27th. He was like, my album, The Slow Rush, is coming out February 14th, 2020. I'm like, let's go. It's been like 5 years, 4 years, maybe almost 6 years since the Tame Impala album. A couple singles, but here and there he's been kind of quiet. Besides Skeletons with Travis Scott, which is really good. Overall album is pretty good, considering it's been 5 years since his last, like I just said, Currents, which is also really good. Slow Rush has an insane amount of production because Kevin Parker is an insane instrumentalist and just really knows how to perfect stuff. That's why he's worked so long on this album. It's really personal. I think this is one of the more personal albums of his when it comes to like the subject matter. He talks about like people passing and time being a really big construct and element in his life, talking about how it's affected things. That's why he calls it the slow rush. As with most Tame Impala songs, like I said, the production is super layered. Kevin Parker said this is really cool to me. One of the songs, "Breathe Deeper," was inspired by Mariah Carey, which I thought was pretty interesting because it sounds like Emotions by her. I think he said that was the inspiration for the song. The only real thing I'd call a con to this album is the changes to Borderline. I think it was the drums that mainly changed, or like a little bit of the chunk of the song was removed, like a chunk of it. Even though Kevin said it felt like something was missing, I felt the single version was great, and I love the drums. Regardless of that one song being changed, I think this is still a really good album with a nice groove to it. This Kevin Parker and Tame Impala make really good, like, groovy music and kind of, like, I don't know how to describe it, but, like, it's really cool to watch on YouTube videos, like think of, like, an old Disney movie, like the drug scene inside of, what's it called, Dumbo. Think of, like, putting that with his music in the background. It's really cool. And his whole, like, music videos are really nice and stuff. He's just got really cool feel to his music and stuff. It's got a nice groove to it. I would recommend listening to this album at least once. Standout tracks are "Breathe Deeper," "On Track," "Is It True," It Might Be Time, Glimmer, and One More Hour. Pretty good handful of tracks I liked in that one. So this next single, this is like closer to the end of February, right before the pandemic really started to kick in February or March. But February break for me because I had school. February break, and that time I went to with my cousin's grandmother and him to see the Sonic movie, which I know that sounds like a joke, but the movie wasn't even that bad. I'm not going to get too much into it, but I would say people who were expecting it to be terrible, it was not that terrible. I was like, this is a decent movie considering it's Sonic and people are in it, and it's kind of like a joke. But 1 minute. Yeah, there's a song that played at the end of the movie in the credits. "Speed Me Up" with Wiz Khalifa, Ty Dolla $ign, Lil Yachty, and Swaco the Child. Um, Lil Yachty isn't even that bad on the song. The main thing that stands out to me is Ty Dolla $ign and Wiz Khalifa. Those two have this really cool chorus or a verse that keeps relapsing in the song. It's "Speed Me Up," and it says a couple other things that rhymes with it. Ty Dolla $ign has a nice verse overall in the song, but Wiz Khalifa says that chorus really nice. What seemed like I said a joke song at the end credits is the Sonic movie because it was just a weird handful of artists to be singing for a kids movie, but it wasn't that bad. That's what I'm saying. I actually grew to listen to the song over that week a lot more, and it came catchy in my head. Granted, I don't play it every day now. It was way back in February. There was a bit of time then that I was listening to it at nighttime and just like really liking the song. It was, like I said before, it's weird that those four made a song for a kids movie, but it didn't even come out bad, is what I'm saying. So, honestly, not a bad song. A good song for the movie overall because of the whole speeding up with Sonic thing. So those were the big things in February. We're now in March. March kicked off with kind of a crazy surprise. I say surprise, even though we've been waiting a year and a half for this, maybe more. Eternal Atake by Lil Uzi. He was teasing all the last like 6 months ever since November with Futsu Shuffle. He came out finally. He dropped it on the Friday a week early. I vividly remember being in French class before school got canceled when it dropped and thinking people were joking, but within minutes checking my phone and everyone else in their class was pulling out their phone and listening to it. I was like, I didn't think this many people in my French class were fans of Little Uzi, but like, wait, I guess everyone was waiting for this in the sense that he's been hyping it up for so long. But yeah, let's see. I waited till I got home to listen to it that day, but in my opinion, the first 7 songs are really good and unique for Uzi. I think they just had this nice sound to it, and his energy on this album is really a standout on it. And Baby Pluto is, as he calls himself, living his best life. It's a solid project, and this is just half of the bigger picture from Uzi. And he started a big sort of trend for the next few months in the year, but I'll get into that later. Standout songs. Like I said, it's a solid project. It's not that bad. I would totally recommend listening to it because it's a little bit different and it's nice. I like the whole like space theme and how it sounds overall. Really good songs are standout ones. Are You Better Move, Homecoming, Prices, which has a really good Travis Scott sample from the song way back, Venetia, and Secure the Bag. Secure the Bag is a really good one as well. Alright, so we're still in March, like a week later, just about, maybe with less than that. Single from the Trolls movie, the Trolls World Tour, The Other Side by SZA and Justin Timberlake. Really good dance-based song, like, as it should sound like a dance song because it's off the new Trolls movie, and those are like based off music and dancing in general. SZA's voice has this effect on almost every song, in my opinion, that she's on that just raises the bar of how much I like it, and while her voice is familiar sounding, I still like it a lot, and it's versatile, going from Black Panther to Game of Thrones soundtracks to a kids movie like Trolls. I don't know, she's just doing a bunch of stuff without it. Granted, I still want the album to drop. Hopefully she's making something like that soon, because it's been like 3 years since her last one, but her voice is really good. It's a really catchy song that'll make your foot tap, essentially. Alright, like I said, within that next week, week and a half, when Uzi said he was initially dropping Eternal Atake, we are now in Friday the 13th, when things started to get bad with Corona, but I digress. Eternal Atake Deluxe. Now, I have a friend that listens to a lot of Uzi, and he's a good fan of his. He said most of the songs on here, the Deluxe, were leaked over the last, 2 years since he announced Eternal Atake, but I had never listened to any of them, because I wasn't a big, leak from Uzi fan, or Cardi really, so all this stuff was fresh to me. I still believe Eternal Atake was way better and unique for the sound. This one is feature stacked. It's pretty much, the album had one feature on it, the normal Eternal Atake, but this one had 90% of the songs were features. It's a louder in your face feeling compared to EA's spacious sound from most of the songs. What really came from this album was a trend this year. Like I said, that people were releasing a deluxe version of your album after the main product releases. And I'll get into that more about other people that did that. But the standout tracks are Got the Guap, Moon Relate, Strawberry Peels, Yes Sirski with 21 Savage, really nice, Bean, Kobe, and then Myron. Myron's a good intro. Heaven or Hell Same day, Don Toliver, it's Friday the 13th. This project had me interested as Don Toliver stood out a lot really well on Jack Boys. He doesn't have that much solo material, or I guess not as much as I would like from him, but this album was a whole new project we've been waiting for a good bit since like he was really. I remember, and not to get into that, but Anthony Fantano was like, this random guy that's on Travis Scott's label, Don Toliver's on the song Can't Say. I don't know why he's there, he said, but I'm like, Don Toliver got this crazy voice on a song that just sounds like unique, similar to Giveon, because that's Giveon when he sings in those songs. It's not even edited. So someone told me yesterday, it's literally his normal voice, and I'm like, that is sick. And he doesn't have that much solo material, like I said, but while this album has a really few good songs, its track list does include a song from Jack Boys that was originally teased in the Look Mom I Can Fly Netflix, and a song that was teased in the Look Mom I Can Fly Netflix documentary, which I assume Travis just didn't, or gave the Don Toliver the instrumental because maybe he couldn't get something right over it, or he just thought it would sound better with Don Toliver, because the instrumental's sick, After Party, and then also the Jack Boys song was What to Do. No, it's oh, I'm trying to remember. It's I think it is What to Do. Yeah, it is What to Do. And then like I said, regardless of the filler, there's still a few sick tracks. The intro song is really eerie and like good. I like how simple it is. It's like, I wanna smoke some. And then not a bad project overall. I like that eerie tone, but it's a strange mix of songs and sounds. A key example of that, like the strange part of it, is the Euphoria with Travis Scott and Cash Page. I don't really know why. This is like mainly their song, not much Don Toliver. But I digress. Not really bad. That I guess it's just a weird project coming from him. But it's still nice to have more material from him. I like there's like 12 new songs. Standout tracks were Heaven or Hell, No Photos, Company, and After Party. All right, it's weird. We go 2 days later into a Sunday, and I found out like I think the next day. I think it was either the next day or maybe late in that day. March 15th, 2020. Gambino, Childish Gambino is the name. The album name is 3/15/20. What was one of the weirdest release strategies, or maybe not a strategy at all this year. Donald Glover Presents was a website found by a tweet after a colleague of his tweeted it out and someone found it. At this site was an image split into 4 parts, one labeled album or cover, pretty much album cover, showcasing distress and chaos, which is essentially what the world's condition is in right now. The music from this album was playing in a loop on the site, but the site was only up for a matter of hours. Some music distribution apps like that, and sites like DatPiff, which I used for a bit, even though it was a little laggy. Oh no, I used that initially since the website was lagging. Eventually got taken down, and they also were just having titles that weren't even the actual titles because they didn't know what the album was called. They didn't have the information yet. This was just a strange drop of music, like, here, have this for the people, but from what people have assumed, the reason the site was looping it over and over is the project is supposed to be listened to one song, like one big thing, just listen to it like the whole hour. It's also available like that as an option on Apple Music under the name Donald Glover, which is just the whole like hour-long thing of it. But in between March 15th and 22nd, there was a week of radio silence regarding the music, not really explaining what it was for. Come a week later, the 22nd, after a little timer, like 3 days in advance, it releases onto streaming platforms as the name 3/15/20, with the songs being named after their timestamps from the larger song that is in the entire project. With a note left on the site at first, once the music released officially, this handful of songs seem to be honored toward his family and father based off of a dream he had once. Whether this is the end for Childish Gambino or the start for Donald Glover Presents, I'm very curious as to what is next for him. Not a bad project overall, like I was saying. It's just a weird out-of-the-blue thing. In my opinion, there's really couple standout tracks in this one. I think as a whole, I'm liking Awaken My Love a little bit more, but this is still nice to have more music from Gambino or Donald Glover, whatever he goes by now. Standout tracks include Algorithm and Time, which are the only 2 songs with actual names, and then 12.38, 19.10, and 53.49. I guess that was why it's supposed to be one whole project. I just don't know why those 2 were the only ones named, and the rest was... Even Feels Like Summer was literally named a timestamp. It's weird. Alright, I guess, the 22nd. Yeah, a week later from that, just about, we are at March 20th. Almost skipped 2 months there. After Hours by The Weeknd. I'm very happy that The Weeknd did not delay this album because the coronavirus pandemic was sort of pushing back everything else around him. He was very excited for this, as was I, to push this out, and he's been waiting for so long making this all his music, because he started teasing for this whole new chapter way back in November, because I remember being at my grandmother's house that night, and he dropped back-to-back Heartless and then Blinding Lights. Like I said, I'm happy he didn't push it back out because it was very hyped up, at least for me, once he teased the title of the album and the title track, which were amazing. After Hours, the song. For me, the 2 Weeknd albums before this came out, for me, 2 weekends before the album came out. Funny enough, when The Weeknd was on SNL and I saw him before, or I saw on YouTube, he performed a new song, "Scared to Live." I was really excited for this release because that song gave out like pure emotion from him, especially on like a live performance, but heartfelt side of The Weeknd, and it almost feels like a prom song, which hit harder since everything like a prom was canceled this year. This is almost the drinking and driving side of Abel. Heartbroken and in the midst of finding out how he should feel about it. After Hours is The Weeknd's Demon Hour record, and as I heard someone else say, let's hope The Weeknd doesn't get hurt this bad ever again. The standout tracks include Scared to Live, Snow Child, Faith, Repeat After Me, Interlude, and a really great interlude at that. Also, the Monday following the release of the album came with the first deluxe version of After Hours, including 5 remixes and the SNL version, which I was so happy he put that out, because similarly to Post Malone's Circles, I grew to like the live version of the song a little bit better than the actual album version. But his version isn't out, it's just an instrumental version on Spotify, but I digress. Finally, with After Hours, the following Monday, Abel dropped 3 bonus songs he'd been teasing all throughout the preceding week. Nothing Compares, Missed You, and The Final Lullaby. He was like on its Instagram live talking about him and showing him, and he was just in the studio being a demon, smoking some weed and shit. As weird as it is to me that The Weeknd essentially sings you to sleep at the last song, it seems like way more of a closer than Until I Bleed Out. Nothing Compares is the standout track of the 3 for those bonus for me personally. I like the instrumental so much, the synths. Next, I'm pretty sure this came out the same day. I might be like a day or a week or two off, but The Anxiety, self-titled. This is a collaboration between, I'm trying to remember. I know it's Willow Smith and this other guy. I can find it real quick. But essentially, the album is really good, and it's like mellow music, if that makes sense. Where is he? Yeah, essentially, I don't know what made them want to do this. Or maybe they just had the idea a while back. But those two, yeah, here it is. Tony Pill is a photographer. It's Willow Smith and I'm trying to remember the other guy. I'm blanking. What? I could probably find it. But yeah, it's a duo essentially. And this album I came across by this artist I follow from California Story. She drew the album cover, which came out amazing. So after hearing from her how good the album was, I took a listen. And I was surprised by a landslide how good it was. I was expecting pretty generic indie music, but it is described as the musical soundtrack to actual anxiety, and that is not a stretch at all. There's a good mix of sounds and emotions really coming from these songs, and I'm glad I gave it a listen because to me it has a good amount of replayability for pretty one-dimensional music. I like listening to it like in the background a lot. This one is definitely a recommended listen from me. Some standout tracks include Meet Me at Our Spot, really good song, Poolside, a nice like summer type chill song, almost like a beach type thing, and After You Cry, where Willow Smith's vocals towards the end of that song give off really raw emotion. Next, we had like the last week of March, 27th is the day this dropped. Dua Lipa has been teasing for this new whole era thing ever since November when she released Don't Start Now. When I first listened to that song, I wasn't that big, but I listened to it multiple times again, and then I was like, I like this whole groove to it. Come December, drops Future Nostalgia, I think it was like the 12th or something. Come January, end of the month, same day as Ryan Beatty, or a day before maybe, dropped Physical, and then 2 days before this album dropped Break My Heart, which is actually a sample from INXS's Need You Tonight. Yeah, so Future Nostalgia is what I'm talking about. And as I touched upon in the first episode of this podcast, this album had me excited once I heard both Don't Start Now and the title track, Future Nostalgia, which is what starts the album off. A collection of music that not only has that bit of that dancing factor, but also takes bits and pieces from the last decades that shine when it comes to music that take care out of them. Now that's a recipe for an album that I want to hear ASAP, because I love older music and I know many people don't do it nowadays, trying to make like not new stuff, but like trying to recreate that sound, but like making music that still has that like that sound of the old stuff, but still having crazy production because it's newer and using all the new tools we have nowadays is really cool to me. As we got closer from the following single, Physical, at the end of January to Break My Heart, like I just said, which sampled the INXS Need You Tonight, that released 2 days before the album came out. Every single had its own distinct sound, which I really enjoyed in their own way. 1 minute. Where did it go? No, yeah, here. Really was happy with what came with this album, and this one is almost always in the loop for re-listens because it's in my Spotify playlist like a million. It's like the repeat rewind. So many of the songs from this album are in there. Um, for me, the perfect standout track is "Levitating." This song is not only like dance club worthy, but it has these space theme lyrics in it that match the album cover perfectly. This song is my number one most listened to of the year, and for good reason because I always want to hear it, and I don't skip it. I never probably will. Other standout tracks include Love Again. The sample of White Town's Your Woman is really great here. Pretty Please, the only real slow, mellow song on the album, but it's a good halfway marker, and Hallucinate. I always hear this song and think of like a Lady Gaga. When she goes, Make Me Lose My mind, I think in the halfway through the song, sounds like Lady Gaga. Especially that Stupid Love stuff, the new stuff she's dropping. That's what I definitely hear from it. It's kind of skip a month because I don't remember that much stuff happening in April or that much big music in April because I was going through my listen to stuff like my Spotify like songs. There was one big thing that came out of it. A new duo formed, Kid Cudi and Travis Scott, called The Scotts. The song self-titled. This newly formed duo has me excited for Kids See Ghost level music between Travis Scott and Kid Cudi here. Cudi stands out as a clear inspiration to Travis, so these two working on music together has me very interested to see how much Travis goes into his production skills for future songs between them, as this song alone sounds amazing with the space theme that fits so well for the two of them, the Astroworld Rager and the Man on the Moon. Cudi seems to be heading in a more rapping direction, which I'm all for as he sounds great here on the Scotts, especially with Leader of the Delinquents and what just dropped yesterday, or today I think, the Moon Man and Slim Shady, Adventures of him. And then, here it is. Definitely keep an eye out for more between these two. Granted, I was kind of expecting another Scott song to come out today. I'm not mad that the Eminem song came out today. I'll talk more about that in the future. But yeah, I have hope that they drop an album this year because they have some stuff already made. I heard the other song teased on their Instagram Live, and I'm like, oh, these dudes got to drop real soon because I really want to hear more stuff from them. Kelly Uchis, I think we're in the beginning of, no, the same day I'm pretty sure, to Feel Alive EP. Same day, end of April. This very mini project, all worked on and put together in its entirety in quarantine by Kelly, stands out as a great prime example of good things come in small packages. It's only like 4 songs. I really enjoyed every song on this, and the instrumentals sound almost as a rated R Disney movie with birds chirping and upbeat tunes in the background. The subject matter is all about Callie and what she wants, needs, but it sounds fitting during this quarantine as it's very difficult to get those types of things in the midst of a global pandemic. Overall, I like the sound of it and how she does on this EP as a whole. Few standouts, but it's a really good album. To Feel Alive, Honey Baby, Spoiled, and Angel. Next single, pretty sure this is the beginning of May, or maybe the same day, I'm trying to remember. It's a really big collaboration. It's called Cheesin'. It's like Cautious Clay and 6 others. This giant collaboration appears to be redefined features as everyone in this artist section of the song does their part very well and no one overshadows someone else. Cautious Clay is really strong here as the hook. This is the first time I'm hearing from him, but it's a good first impression in my opinion. What really got me into this song, or onto listening it, was still Woozie's work on the instrumental in his mini verse. Overall, this is a nice project song that is very mellow and catchy. We are now in May. Damn, we are kind of going through this faster than I thought, but we're getting there. Oh, jeez, I must have... Yeah, this is the end of the month, Jesus, so we are already almost at June. Alfredo by Freddie Gibbs and the Alchemists. I love this record. Last year's Bandana was really strong and had good features, production, and the usual out there Freddie Gibbs bars, but this 10-track record shines through it all, like a way more refined and slim to perfection version of Bandana. There's this cohesiveness between Freddie rapping and the Alchemist doing his thing, finding the perfect sound to match the atmosphere that I really like. This album really does remind me of being in a rich, fancy Italian restaurant, like a really pimped-out Olive Garden, wearing a black tux and drinking red wine while eating breadsticks. And I think that this is mainly from the perfect samples used at just the right spots on the album that go hand in hand with these amazing features. Rick Ross on Scotty Beam to me is up there with his verse on Devil in a New Dress. People love that song, but I think this one right here is really good, and like Rick Ross is in his prime in this song, or he's in his element with this song, especially with the sample going hand in hand with his voice. Benny the Butcher and Conway the Machine also sound so fitting in their tracks, having really good lines on their songs like Plus My Older Son is Feeling Math That She Ain't Adding Up on Babies and Fools with Conway the Machine. And then Tyler's feature on Something to Rap About is something that I'd say that's pretty rare considering him. He doesn't really have many lengthy features or lengthy verses on features, and the back and forth between him and Freddie on this song is amazing, especially when the beat pitches up for a little bit in between Freddie's first verse and then Tyler's verse in the middle, as like the switch up kind of. Here it is. And then from the day it came out to now, I've still been listening back to this, and I really like listening to it. And it was a good surprise. It almost sounds like upper echelon music, in my opinion. But yeah, this came out of nowhere, or like maybe 2 days in advance. I don't remember people saying they were working together. I heard nothing on this till the 2 days when they announced Alfredo coming out Friday, and like all the info on it. It's very short but straight to the point. And there's like only like one song I would consider filler, or maybe two. I think there's like one at the end, like All Glass, and then Look at Me. No, yeah, I think it is because it's right before. It could kind of be like the intro to the other song. With I think it's Frank Lucas, or Babies and Fools, one of the two. But I digress. The album itself is still really good and very, like I said, pristine upper echelon music, and it sounds perfected, and I like it a lot. I think Freddie Gibbs and The Alchemist are amazing, and I love that the album title Alfredo is their names mixed together. That's awesome, and the whole entire merch thing. They made a whole comic book with the half man, half cocaine, and The Alchemist, and I consider getting it. It looks pretty cool with like a full 20-page comic book based off them and the adventures of those two. But yeah, standout tracks are 1985, the intro, Scotty Beam, Frank Lucas, and Something to Rap About. Mainly the feature ones, but they're still so good overall. Even I'm trying to think what it is called. It's the one that goes microphone check 1 2 mic check. That one's really good. Okay, next album we just went through May real quick kinda, but we're already in June. RTJ4. This album, for most Run the Jewels fans, has been something they've been really looking forward to. Coming back after the amazing record that's RTJ3, and it's with its great uses of features and insane, almost futuristic production. And RTJ4 has come at just about the perfect time, almost being the music for the revolution, with lyrics touching upon subject matters that are very relevant at a time like now today. Once again, the production here is really up there, and LP is great what he does. He's really great in the mixing and making the instrumentals and producer. He's really good. He's made his own solo projects, but he's really good with this. These two are like the dynamic duo up there. I think I have like 5 dynamic duos in my top for like really good ones, and these ones are, if not way or like if not the top, right below it, like second or third. Like they're really good. They go fucking back and forth, and it's perfect. Especially the mix between making these beats and going off over them, because LP does that a bunch on this album. Killer Mike does his thing yet again, and he nails it over the head on this record. He's really being an activist during this whole Black Lives Matter movement, so power to him, and he's always been for that, and that's what the music is kind of meant to be, like, really in your face and make you aware of the whole problems with the world and things going on, like, as issues today. And there's even a video that was playing on, like, this game, I think it was like a documentary type of thing, and he was in it, because he's, like, a really, like, he's really an activist for this stuff essentially, and he is a really good power figure in my opinion. Really happy with what the past years has been resulted with for this album, because apparently Walking in the Snow, what's it called, Killer Mike's verse was recorded way back in last November, and the lyrics on it just go like so perfect for what's going on right now. It's crazy. Or they just like he like almost predicted the kind of situation that's happening, or not predicted, but like it's kind of like pretty sad that how common that kind of thing is. Standout tracks include Out of Sight, Holy Calamafuck, Just with the money sign with the that's got Pharrell on it, and Out of Sight has 2 Chainz on it as well, and then Walking in the Snow. Alright, there's like a few more things right here. I think I have my like maybe like 90% of the way, but I don't want to talk too little too fast. We have like a few more things. I know this came out, I'm pretty sure the week before the last thing right here, but Kanye West and Travis Scott, Wash Us in the Blood. On this new and first single off the upcoming album God's Country by Kanye West, Jesus meets Jesus, and at what a fitting time and with current world events. Kanye and Travis are a solid duo, Jesus, from Piss on Your Grave, the song to watch, and that still stands here with these two going in on things heavy. Can't read today. Kanye talks about how they want to sign a fake Kanye, call him Ye, and Travis goes in about execution in 30 states and dodging the federal. These two both cover significant discussion material in the song and still make it slap over this insane production courtesy of Dr. Dre. This gives me hope for God's country and what else Kanye has planned. So yeah, I know Kanye's in a bit of a weird place right now talking about being a president. People don't know if he's being serious or not. People are saying he might be having a bipolar, not event, but like a reaction or like a situation where he's going through bipolar disorder right now, like really badly, like having like a breakthrough kind of sort of thing. A bipolar breakout, that's what I would call it. And with the president stuff, people are saying, and it's probably most likely this is what's gonna end up actually happening with it, is that he in the end is gonna be using it as it's gonna work in his favor as album promotion, even if he doesn't actually not only become president, but like run for it as like legitimately. He showed videos on his Twitter saying that he is, and he's showing them that you can vote for him in the polls and the ballots in some states. Considering there are some states that doesn't let him vote for it, that's kind of a problem for him getting elected, but we'll see what happens. I think it's funny also that his main conductors or followers, his supporters, two big names, Kim K, his wife, Kim Kardashian West, and then Elon Musk. Elon's a legend, though. He got plenty of money to blow for it. Alright, so we are, I think, at the last big thing. But this one's big in my opinion because it really changed my opinion on the artist. So Pop Smoke's album, Posthumous, mainly produced, or assistantly produced by 50 Cent. He's been working on it for the last like 5 months, 6 months. Shoot for the stars, aim for the moon. So when I first heard Pop Smoke on Gotti off of Jack Boys, I thought he was well over 40 with the raspy tone he used in the song. He just sounded like a really older voice. But over the next few months leading up to his passing in February, there was more to his stuff than just Woo Back Baby. Granted, I didn't really listen to his stuff or get into him that much because I wasn't that big on it, like putting him on a car and go crazy. But I never dissed anyone that listened to his music or what it was about because he was really like a big hype man in my opinion. It's not even a bad thing. It's like a good like making hype music and being like really out there. He'd probably be amazing in concerts in my opinion. But I never dissed him for people for there was just a lot of ad-libs in his songs. That was the main standout I took from anything I listened to him, especially on Gotti, like Woo Back Baby and Let Me See Some Okay Okay. Like those were considered like signature terms, the Woo Back stuff. But this posthumous album is really solid and a great balance and mix. Before listening, I saw people on Twitter saying R&B Pop Smoke is so good and that they're glad there's a good bit of it on this album. This had me interested from the start, so I listened front to back, and as I got further in, I was like, wow, this is really actually good. And the features, people can say they're like cash grabs, and especially something like the Woo, or no, it's I think it's Dior is being a bonus song, but I think this album overall is really perfect as it is in the sense of the mix of things. Yeah, as I was saying before, this had me interested, so I listened front to back. And it's something that really stood out to me is the cohesion of these features, not just them being on it. Something which I would never have figured that they'd have. I figured they had their own signature style, like Little Baby and DaBaby kind of do, but they still sound so good with Pop Smoke. Another example is 50 Cent, and Pop Smoke literally seems like a younger 50 Cent in these songs, and it's crazy how good it is. Also with Roddy Ricch, and then there's Little TJ. I'm not the biggest fan of that song, but I'm not gonna diss it because it's not even that bad in my opinion. Just a weird topic he talks about in the song. I thought that they had their own signature sound that'll mix uniquely to say the least, but almost every feature somewhat sounds like they have their own style, or no, they have like a style that's cohesively working with the signature Pop Smoke style, which I found so interesting, but not in any way a bad thing. Great production that almost on one song, I think it's 44 Bulldogs, almost sounds like the Travis Scott style. With the production, and then the album ending with the line from an interview saying, or Pop Smoke saying he wanted in 100 years people to know that he changed, or to see that he changed the game, or how he did it. From lyrics about pop wrestling and peace to nods back to 50 Cent songs featuring the man himself on the song. This project holds a lot in store, and is a shame that his passing brought with it a great album. Now, I don't know, before I talk about the standout tracks, I don't know how far into this he was making it, but someone were saying maybe he was already pretty much done with the album and they were just mixing it a little bit better and getting some features on here for collaborations, people who were friends with him, like probably because Quavo is on here a lot. Quavo is on like 3 songs. So there's the one with Tyga, the one with him, and then there's one with Future, Snitching. But the album itself is really good. I think I like more than anything else on this album the R&B stuff. There's like I said right here, I'll say real quick, the standout tracks are Something Special, What You Know About Love, Snitching, which isn't a R&B song, but it's not bad. Yeah Yeah, For the Night, and The Woo. Majority of those are the R&B songs because they're super good. The feature ones, a couple of them are not that bad. A couple of them are okay, like the Tyga one and the I think it's Little TJ one. I'm like, it's not that bad, but I'm not a big fan of Tyga or Little TJ. That's probably why I'm like conflicted about it. But right here, yeah, and there's some samples on here that are crazy good. Like it's like 2000s R&B stuff. So he sampled it and made it into an even better R&B song, or not better, but like music at the time right now, sampling 2000s R&B songs makes an even better R&B song for this kind of stuff right now. So like I said, yeah, that album was really good, and it's really not closer, but like a good halfway point to mark this year, because that album is also how you do. This is like this and Circles are how you do posthumous albums. You don't just go for cash grabs. And I haven't listened to Juice WRLD's album yet, but from what I'm hearing, a lot of the songs kind of sound unfinished. So that's something I'm worried about. I'll have to listen to it before I make my opinion on it. It's 21 tracks. That's gonna be a lot to listen to, but we'll see. So yeah, that's the last 6 months, 6.5 of music that really stood out to me, and as I'm gonna say right here, real quick. Hold up. Yeah. Hopefully. Oh, it's broken. I gotta fix something. There it is. I'm at the bottom. Yeah, and that just about wraps up the albums halfway through the year that I've been really happy with listening and enjoying listening to them and re-listening to some of them more than once so far this year. I am looking forward to the second half of the year and what comes with it music-wise. And if it's really good yet again, which at the moment, the last week of music announcements has been so good. I'm not gonna get into them because I have them all saved down for next time's podcast episode, whatever that might be, like the full-on one talking about. I kind of want to do an every week's podcast episode when there is a bunch of new music stuff or new music announcements, talk about them and go over them, because like last week's was really good, or this week's, I guess technically, and I kind of have a lot of stuff on the thing at the moment, the list, and a lot of stuff came out this week I'm listening to. Stuff next week, stuff at the end of the month, stuff next month, stuff September, I think the latest I have stuff looking forward to right now at the moment is September 25th, which is Joji's album. Someone else is dropping an album in September. Someone's dropping a song next Wednesday. Someone's dropping a song next Friday, I think. Someone's dropping an album at the end of the month. Someone's dropping an album first week of August. So to say the least, shit is popping right now for music, and I'm happy. So like I said, yeah, I will almost definitely probably make a second half of the 2020 episode, because I have a feeling, considering we are like just at the beginning of the second half of 2020, if this is how we're starting the second half, then I have a good feeling people are going to get more confident with releasing stuff, since the pandemic is in. It's not that it's not extreme, but like people are slowly trying to go off of what they're told, and then eventually hang out with people and take all the music in. It's going to be sick. Like summertime and music go in hand, like peanut butter and jelly, essentially, in my opinion. And how I see music in the summertime is it's like make your summer soundtrack, and that's what we do with playlists. Me and my friends make some sometimes. I listen to new albums and I'm like, this is really good. Put this in the playlist. Boom, summer soundtrack. And a great thing about Spotify, maybe Apple Music does this, I don't know, is that they make a summer rewind. So they listen to like they look at your number one songs listened to last summer, and they put them in there. Like I have a bunch right here. I will quickly talk about a couple right here. I'll just go over what I was listening to a lot last summer. Brockhampton, the like 4 weeks that they teased singles until the actual album came out. Ginger, really good album. I listened to Wait a Minute by Willow Smith a lot last summer. Sanctuary by Joji, really good one. This Girl by the Kungs. I've listened to this song 2 summers in a row. It's really good. It's like a summer song kind of thing with trumpets in it. Earthquake, that was popping last year. Dark Fantasy. I got into Kanye West a lot last year. I listened to like all his albums, front to back kind of thing, and it was really really good stuff. And I think MBT and My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy is the standout album by far. Hopefully he can start picking up the pace and not make a Jesus is King Part 2, make it way better than last year. But we'll see. Goodbyes featuring Young Thug, that came out like halfway through the summer, like, or maybe the beginning, sort of July. Really nice song. That album wasn't bad. What's Good, Tyler, Runaway, Pusha T and Kanye. No Halo, really good song. See You Again, really good album. Tanya, Brockhampton, really good iridescent song. Fabric, another good ending song for that album. Dominic Fike, Baby Doll. The Cure, a couple songs from them, Fire and Caro. I listened to this when I woke up on my. We were driving to Virginia once, and I remember waking up and my phone was playing that song, and I was like, this song is good, and it's older, and I like it. It's a 2005 remaster. There's a whole album, a bunch of good songs on it. The album itself is called Three Imaginary Boys Deluxe Edition. I like that. Yellow, Rich Brian. I like that song. Hurt Feelings, Mac Miller, still a really good song. I think what kind of happened is I listened to a couple of songs from the summer before, Summer Rewind playlist, and they got put into mine again because I listened to them a lot because they're good. No Mistakes, Kanye, Summer, Brockhampton, Peach, Kevin Abstract, good album. Listen to the Arizona Baby, please, one of these days. Brockhampton, Hottie, Saturation 3, not bad. Number 2 is probably best in my opinion. Who Dat Boy, really good song, hype song. Death Grips, I've Seen Footage, not bad. On My Own, Jaden and Kid Cudi, really nice. more Flower Boy stuff. Reborn, Kitsy Ghost. I love that song a lot. Circles, Post Malone, another good song. My Bologna. A couple songs from the Stranger Things 3 soundtrack or playlist. No, it's a soundtrack because they have an album. I saw the album, or the vinyl version of it at Cracker Barrel, which is funny. I would have bought it if I had a vinyl player, but Weird Al is really sick. The whole album has, that whole soundtrack to that season is really good, and it's all on Spotify. So I'd definitely listen to that if you want some throwback songs. And there's like one more song, Lost Retro's Last Day on Earth. Those are the main ones I listened to last summer. Hopefully this summer got even more music. Dominic Fike dropped a song yesterday. I'm not going to get too much into it, but it's really good. So if you haven't listened to Politics and Violence, I would listen to it. Apparently, YG dropped a song today called Swag. Pretty nice. And like I said, I'm not trying to run on too much. I'm surprised this episode is actually shorter than a normal episode. I was expecting myself to talk too much, but I guess it didn't. I guess it didn't do that too much. It kind of worked out. I'm kind of going on right now. I'll wrap it up quick. Essentially, yeah. Be on the lookout for more stuff talking about music. Usually, I'll talk about stuff on the weekends when I post an episode. And so, like, if I hear like a bunch of new news, like right now, I have like 5 things from this week announced. Then I'll talk about them. And hopefully, like I said, it's definitely probably almost, if I have the time, it only takes like an hour. I'm like only at 45 minutes right now. I'll definitely put out a second half 2020 great music list because I'm really excited for like 5 albums at the moment, and it's going to be a good time. So that's going to wrap it up for this episode of Grandpa's Fridge. If you're listening on YouTube, hit the like button if you want. If you want more of these, let me know. If you got any ideas and stuff like that, please feel free to tell me. If you're on Spotify or any other streaming platform for podcast, feel free to follow or whatever the little thing to keep up to date with my stuff is on your app that you're listening to this. And I'll see you guys in the next episode. Peace. Grandpa's Fridge.